Have you ever had one of those moments where it feels like the ground is just shaking underneath you? Well, today we're going to look at a really powerful way to think about those times of uncertainty. And it all boils down to one simple, but honestly pretty profound question. When life feels shaky, do you trust the branch you're sitting on, or do you trust your own wings?
Let's be real for a second. Life is so often completely unpredictable, right? Our best laid plans can just fall apart in an instant, things change, and suddenly we're left just trying to find our balance on some pretty shaky ground.
And sometimes it goes way beyond just unpredictable. It can feel messy, confusing, yeah, downright chaotic. And in those moments, our instinct is to grab onto something, anything. But what if that instinct to hold on is the very thing holding us back from where we need to go?
So let's dive into our first section, life on shaky ground. You see, when things get uncertain, it's just so human to cling to what we know. We grip that familiar branch for dear life, even when we can feel it starting to crack beneath us.
Okay, moving into section 2, the bird and the branch. To really get through this, what we need is a change in perspective, a big one. What if we could shift where we put our trust? And that right there is where this simple metaphor of a bird and a branch becomes so powerful.
Let's just let that sink in for a second. Think about it. The bird isn't worried if the branch is going to break. Why? Because its confidence, its safety, it doesn't come from the branch, it comes from its own built-in ability to fly.
You know, this isn't just some nice, poetic little saying. It's really like a mirror. It forces us to look at ourselves and ask, okay, when things get hard, where am I actually placing my faith? Is it in something outside of me that's fragile, or is it in my own strength, right here, inside?
Which brings us to section 3, branch or wings. Let's actually unpack this. Let's make this metaphor real and see how it shows up in our own lives. What is the branch, and what are the wings for you?
And this difference is absolutely crucial. See, the branch represents all those external things we cling to. It could be a job, a specific relationship, maybe even an old version of ourselves we've outgrown. But your wings, that's your internal stuff. That's your strength, your creativity, your resilience. They're the parts of you that are always there no matter what happens on the outside.
So, section 4 is a journaling invitation. To really make this personal, let's just walk through a little exercise for self-discovery. I've got a few questions you can ask yourself.
First up, ask yourself this. What is the branch I've been clinging to? Seriously, is it a career that feels safe but totally drains you? Or a relationship dynamic that just doesn't fit anymore? Take a second and be really honest here.
Okay, next question. Have I been placing my trust in something outside of me instead of in my own wings? In other words, are you kind of outsourcing your sense of safety? Are you relying on a paycheck or someone else's approval to feel okay instead of trusting your own ability to figure things out?
All right, now for the pivot. Let's get practical. What would trusting my wings actually look like in this situation? What's one step, big or small, that would show you truly believe in yourself? Maybe it's finally speaking your mind, or hitting send on that application, or just letting go of a fear you've been carrying around.
And finally, go find the evidence in your own past. Can you remember a time when you flew? A time when you trusted yourself, you took that leap, and it led to something amazing? That proof, it's already part of your story.
Because here's the most important thing to get. Your wings, they aren't something you have to go out and find or somehow earn. This strength, it's fundamental to who you are. You were literally born with it.
And that leads us to our final section, number 5. Remember how to fly. This is all about reconnecting with that innate strength, that power you already have inside you, even if you haven't used it in a while.
Just remember, your wings aren't fragile. They're woven from everything you've ever been through. That's your wisdom. They're powered by your ability to look fear in the eye. That's your courage. And they're guided by where you want to go. Those are your dreams.
So, what if that shaky branch isn't a failure? What if it's an invitation? Maybe it was never meant to hold you forever. Maybe it was just there long enough for you to remember how to take off again. This challenge, maybe it's actually your launching pad.
And so, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If you were to quiet all the noise around you and really listen to that strength inside you, if you were to really trust your own wings, what would they say? What story will your wings speak?